twisted, malignant narcissist. And I do not say that lightly. I do not throw that word around. I mean, psychopaths, sociopaths, like to the point where people are needing to protect me. I was one of those where people did not come up to me. They did not approach me. And in fact, what women used to tell me is, oh, you look like the type of girl that would steal my husband or like cheat on my boyfriend. It's going to be on what you swipe. If you're hungry, horny, angry, lonely, or tired, I called it halt because it's halt. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. But for my client and for my females too, I'm like, halt. I'm going to need you, halt.
Welcome to the I Decide Darlings podcast. I'm Erin.
And I'm Lisa. We are moms, wives, best friends, entrepreneurs, and authors of the book, I Decide, the happy little guide to living your best life. Pull up a chair, grab a glass of wine, and get ready to talk all things health, success, loss, money, family, and everything in between. These two besties won't leave anything off the table.
So get ready to laugh, cry, hear the tips, tools, and stories to give you the success you crave, the life you adore, and the future you deserve. You are listening to the I Decide podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the I Decide Darlings podcast. As always, I am Erin Lopez.
And I'm Lisa Cox. Hello and welcome.
Hello. This is a different day for us. It is Friday, y'all. Just so when you go back and you listen to this, just know it is a TGIF kind of day for the darlings.
That's right. Friday. It's actually the Friday before Thanksgiving. So people are starting to travel and hit the roads. And I actually stay in town here in Springfield, Missouri for Thanksgiving. How about you, Erin?
I am hitting the roads. We are taking a different out of the norm. And instead of going to Chicago this year, we are going to Florida to visit my parents. So
Lovely.
I'll be at the beach eating some turkey.
Sounds good.
And we can't wait to hear what our guest is doing as well. And I have the honor of introducing her to you all today. They're all fun, but this is a fun one, you guys. So ladies, listen up, because today we are introducing and talking to Natalie Stavola. She is a life and dating coach. Where were you? No, just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm happily married. We're good. Yeah, you're here now. Life and dating coach. She is also a producer and an actress. She has her degree in psychology and communications, and she is a certified NLP. She is also certified, I love this, in trauma hypnosis. I want to hear all about that. Mm-hmm. Sex, love, and intimacy hypnosis as well. That sounds very interesting. She is successfully coaching her clients internationally and facilitating their self-growth and love life. She is teaching both men and women techniques to better manage the emotional stress of everyday life and dating life. She is a part of lots of movies we cannot wait to hear about, lots of projects in the works. Natalie Stavola, welcome to the I Decide Darlings podcast. We have so much fun to talk to you about, but we want to know who you are. So take us back. Who is Natalie? How did you get to this point? How in the world did you become a life coach, dating coach? We want to hear all the juice.
Oh my goodness. How much time do we have?
Yeah, I know, right? It's
plenty,
Friday.
right?
We can grab wine
it's
later
Friday.
if we need to. Yeah.
That's true. It's Friday. I'm Irish Italian. I'm originally from the Northeast, Connecticut. We did the move down as well when I was about 13 to Florida. So I'm a coastal woman, and now I'm over in LA. So I love my coast. I was always in the arts. I was always on stage, doing dance, gymnastics, flute and piccolo, all kinds of things, theater as a kid. And for college, though, we were always like, okay, you got to get real. You got to get a real degree. And I also didn't know back then that you could go to college for acting. I had no idea. So I went instead for psychology because I was always fascinated by human behavior. So in all the things that I do, producing, acting, life and dating coaching, I write some books, public speaking. everything is very much so human behavior for me. The back of your brain, your subconscious. But I was doing really well. I got out of college and I, dove into acting, and I became a field producer. I started producing, started working behind the scenes, behind the camera, editing, learning everything. And then it was one of those where, it's when you're starting out, it's you got to do a grind and a hustle, and you can work in the restaurants and maybe bartend, but I couldn't live that lifestyle anymore. And I had degrees, and I felt like I wasn't feeling like I was utilizing the things that I had learned to the best of my ability. I had decided to potentially go back to school for my master's and for PhD, but that would have actually taken me away from the arts, which devastated me, absolutely devastated me. About 7 years ago, I was curled up in a corner and I was crying because I was like, I guess I'm not supposed to be in the arts. I'm supposed to be giving to others, and that's the point of my life. And someone came in and told me, they were like, if it makes you cry, if it hurts your heart, if it makes you sad, you're not supposed to do it. That's not your goal. It's not your path. And that just like, boom, just opened me up. So I waited and I, journaled and I prayed and I meditated, and, I'm spiritual. So I, whatever God anyone prays to, great or not, or the law of the universe or earth or ocean or David Bowie in the sky, whatever you do, I love it all. Love it all. And I just knew, be patient and wait. Don't jump the gun. Don't be impulsive. And all of a sudden one day I got a phone call from a friend of mine, and she was like, hey, a mutual friend of ours is a dating coach for men. And I was like, wait, well, what? So what? What does that exist? I knew women had coaches for some things. And she's like, yeah, she's looking to expand her company. And I just felt it. It was like a whoosh went through me, and I was like, this. And I learned about the back end of the business. And then 3 years ago, started my own company. I also will help with, I host boot camps where I help men with, who are in crypto, stock trading, stocks. I don't know anything about, that is not my realm, but I know limiting beliefs. I know trauma. I know impulsivity like the back of my hand. I know how to get people to calm down and make the right decisions for themselves. So that's where we're at.
So and
then producing.
You're like the female Hitch.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm a Hitch meets Tony Robbins.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, Hitch meets Tony Robbins. Well, I like that. And you're talking a lot of our language. Maybe not, we're kind of two old married ladies. We're two old married chicks. I've been married 35 years. Erin, how many years have you been married?
Almost 20.
So we're we may not be the right category, but we have some fun questions for you.
Yes.
And we're so excited. And I love what you do. We talk a lot in our book and on our podcast about limiting beliefs and in our own businesses. And so we hear you, and we love what you're doing, because I think it's the basis and foundation for so many things, but it's incredible.
Yes.
And I love your story. And I truly, I don't know who that friend was that said to you, but I mean, I would be on my knees thanking them every day, because thank God they said that to you and it clicked. Because sometimes I think it takes an outsider to see your unhappiness, you know what I mean? And then it clicked for you. And now look at you, you're on this incredible path, doing incredible things, and it sounds like loving your life.
Very much so.
Oh.
Yeah, that person. Yeah, I'm very big on obviously coaching and having outside help too. I have 3 therapists and 2 coaches and spiritual advisors and sponsors. So I'm really big on that, because I realize that my best thinking can only get me to familiarity. I can't go somewhere I've never been before. I don't know what it feels like in my body. And my familiarity for a long time was trauma. So I could walk through a room and spot the bad ones real fast, but I did not know how to spot what was best for me and do what was best for me. Have you ever heard people say, oh, you got to do self-care. You got to put yourself first. You got to do self-care. I admire and I appreciate and I respect the intent behind it. But for those of us that have only known abuse for a long time, you don't know what self-care is. Or when you're taught that being giving yourself self-care is selfish, then it's not going to work on your programming. For me, and this wasn't a fault of my parents, this is just how I received information. I thought that love looked like sacrifice. So how can I give myself self-care when I have no idea what that means? But now it's like, okay, give me examples of what this looks like. Break this down for me. And that's where coaching comes in and therapy comes in and good coaches and therapists.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Tell us a little bit about the trauma. Sorry, Lise.
No.
Like,
oh yeah.
because I think, you know, so many things that you're saying are so true and real and vulnerable. And I think that when you are like in the trenches and you can relate to people and you bring something like trauma because you're gorgeous, you're doing all these things like, you know, the acting, the producing, the smarts, like everything. I'd love to hear just a little bit about like the backstory of like the trauma that you can relate to people.
Oh yeah. I think that's I think that's the main thing that people will gravitate me because of, is because I am not someone that's going to lie or blow smoke up your, you know what? I've been there. I've done it. I've done it sober. I've done it drunk. I did it 2 times on a Tuesday. And you know, and it's also because you know, in my life path, and I didn't choose this. It was when I started out with coaching, I was actually starting off as a wing woman, which by the way is BS. You guys don't need it. You don't need pickup lines. It's so stupid and silly. I was doing it, but I was like, I knew the psychology behind things already in the mind. Like what's meant for you is already yours. You can't mess it up. You just can't. And it might be a spiritual lesson. It might be a life lesson. It might be whatever. But you just can't mess it up. So when I started doing this, I actually had a lot of people coming to me, and I had already had the background in psychology. I was already working through trauma. And I had people coming to me, and I have war vets. I have war vets that have had people dying in their arms, or people that have been shot up, or, you know, people that have walked through this life all over the world, where they've seen and experienced some really, you know, traumatic things. And some people, if you haven't gone through it and actually healed from it, sometimes you can by accident be a little too precious about it, or like too like sad about it, as opposed to like once you've done it, gone through it, and come out the other side, and you see how it's going to benefit you and how you're going to be equipped to exceed and I mean excel in whatever area you want in life because of and in spite of what you've been through. It's like it's a different conversation. So you know, growing up, I love my parents. We just had a lot of chaos. Irish Italians from the Northeast, like we there's a lot of yelling. I love them though. My family, we are very close today. And because of that too, I didn't love myself. I didn't understand. I think I was an attractive girl growing up. I'm biased. Yeah, exactly. And so, but because of that, I was one of those where people did not come up to me. They did not approach me. And in fact, what women used to tell me is, oh, you look like the type of girl that would steal my husband or like cheat on my boyfriend. And I was like, what? Like I'm a people pleaser through and through. And so I was taught, my subconscious taught me that in order to survive and in order to be included, I needed to acquiesce to you, to make you feel comfortable, to make sure that you were okay. And so what that led me to was a lot of abusive relationships, because when they see that and they spot that, they'll take advantage of that. So I've been in a relationship where I had a gun to my head, and then I helped him stay out of prison. But then he cheated on me, and I was like, absolutely not. I am done. How dare you?
You're like, okay, now we're done.
The gun to my head was one thing, but you cheat on, hold up.
Oh my gosh, Natalie, that's crazy.
But I needed that, because otherwise, if someone comes to me and they go, I can't get out of this toxic relationship, I'm going to gaslight them by accident. I'm going to go, well, what did you do to deserve it? Well, why aren't you just leaving? Well, you just need to get out of it. And now I'm like, absolutely not. You can't. You will screw up your psyche if you try and run away what's familiar to you, because you're just going to run into it again. So what I do is I have them turn and face it. We double down. We do the inner work first, and then we slowly start to like see and like undo the web of manipulation from the person that you're with. And then when you know, like you'll feel it in your body when you're ready to leave. And it's hard. There can be times where, I mean, if someone's in a dangerous position, and there is danger, then no, I'll yell at my clients. I will absolutely. I do love coaching men for that reason too. If their trauma is louder than logic, then I gotta yell past their trauma in order to get to them. And certain circumstances, like, no, you need to leave first, and then we'll talk about working backwards. But
how do you keep all of your clients to not fall in love with you?
I was just thinking the same thing. I literally was like, okay, there's got to be a gray area here.
I'm serious. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I could just see these men thinking, well, you're the perfect one that I want.
I just watched a Hallmark movie on this, guys. I'll tell you. I literally just did.
What's the name of the Hallmark movie?
I'm going to have to Google it now and text you guys later. But I literally just watched it, and she was a relationship expert and like a dating coach like you, and she fell in love. Like, she actually met him right before, and then he signed up to be with her. It was so good. But yes, I was just thinking that about Lisa. It's got to happen. Tell us. It happens.
It's very, very rare. It's called transference. It's the Nightingale kind of syndrome. Like, you know, when someone's coming in and rescuing you, women do it too. When you think, this person's going to rescue me and save me. Or for others, it'll be like, this is the first time they've ever felt safe talking to someone, especially of the opposite sex. But it's so rare because what happens is like, I'm a drill sergeant, and I don't look like this in the coaching sessions. I come in with my sweatpants on, my glasses, my big glasses on, my hair. Don't get me wrong.
That's probably a good idea,
You're like a
Natalie.
hot therapist.
I do not. Yeah, I am very like, you are not getting this when we are coaching together. Absolutely not. I'm not meeting up with you. I mean, I have met up with some clients because I've known them for years. But I'm like, it's Zoom. You get what you get, and but. Because we're unlocking you and we're focused on you, and typically they're usually like talking about or obsessed with some other people, I just don't matter. It just becomes like, you know, they're not blind, of course. And like my clients, a lot of me and my clients are like, you know, we'll move on to become friends, you know, and keep up with each other. And some of them have like, or they'll be nervous. They'll be like, I was scared that I was going to be too attracted to you but you start talking about your own problems and you need the help so badly that it's like, I just become obsolete. I'm just here.
And I'm sure you have on your work hat and you're doing your thing, you know?
Yeah. And I can maneuver that energy pretty quick, but it's been in like 7 years, really pretty rare. Yeah, but it's happened. Yeah. It's definitely happened.
Well, Erin and I both want to date you.
I mean, you know, if you guys need a side piece.
You too could be a darling, Natalie. You could be a darling.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I certainly am not. I'm not dumbing down what you do by being silly. I'm being silly,
yeah. I love it.
Oh my God.
Humor is a big one. Listen, I do trauma. We laugh. We laugh hard, and it's like it relieves it. It brings it to the surface. We release the shame of it. It's fun.
I just think that's one of the reasons why I've been married for so long, is because we laugh every day. We have fun and we laugh, and we try and not take ourselves too seriously or what's going on around us too seriously. We have to keep the joy in it. But okay, so let's get into some of these dating tips and some different ideas that we want to ask you about. And you can, of course, share anything that you want to share with us. But I want to go back because I want this to be highlighted in our podcast. But you said your best thinking can only get you to familiarity. I thought that was one of the best lines ever. I really think that's so true. And that's a big problem for a lot of people. And then one more thing. What is meant for you is already yours. Okay. I hope everyone who's listening is writing this down, because these are some really powerful words and statements that Natalie's giving us. But okay, now let's get silly. Okay. So one of the ones that I wanted to ask you is what are some of the biggest dating mistakes when people are looking for love and they're going out there and they're just over and over, you see them making these mistakes in dating?
Biggest mistakes. There's a lot. There's a few.
That's okay. We have time.
We have lots of time.
Yeah. The biggest mistakes that I'll see are that I don't want to get too. I'll try and speak in broad terms. The biggest mistakes is that someone doesn't know themselves. They don't know their Achilles heels. They don't know their weaknesses. They don't know what's a yes for them and what's an absolute no. They have no idea on their boundaries. So the biggest mistake that I see is because when you don't know your boundaries, you wind up painting red flags green.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be the reason why we paint red flags green, is because I don't know what I'm supposed to say yes to or what I'm supposed to say no to.
Mm-hmm.
What do I want, and dating is a discovery. But when you're kind of not doing your due diligence on at least like, okay, this person is bringing something up for me. This person is flaking on me. Some people will go into like real anger against the opposite sex, as opposed to looking at like, am I picking partners that are actually showing or even stating on their profiles things that would indicate they're emotionally unavailable, not ready for a relationship, don't even want a relationship, but you do.
Mm-hmm.
But you're trying to make this person fit your mold. You're trying to get this person to like you. So oftentimes what I see is people don't know how to do the inner work and do that like, okay, this is a boundary. I don't want to, here's a boundary, simple boundary that a lot of people have just gone over, myself included. I don't want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with me, period. Simple boundary. So many people screw that one up, and because they try and get with someone who's clearly not showing up, not showing, not showing reciprocity, flaking, mismanaging their time, that sort of thing. So biggest mistake would be the boundaries, and then the next one would be your triggers, your own triggers and traumas.
Mm-hmm. That makes good sense.
You mentioned something. How many clients that you work with, how much of this is all happening online? Like, meaning like they're dating online? Because like you said, their profile says XYZ. I actually met my husband online.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I have a good story about it too. But how much of that is, because when I did it too, it was like, it wasn't new, but it wasn't cool. Let's just say that.
Yeah. I remember eHarmony and Match.com.
It was Match.com.
Yeah. They're really good.
But it really, it wasn't a thing. It was for people who lived in big cities. We both lived in Chicago at the time. And it was an alternate way to meet somebody outside of work.
Absolutely.
But now, fast forward 20 years, I think that there's so much bait and switch and this and that. So like, how much of it is happening of your clients that is most of it online now? Are most people who are dating? No. Ooh.
It's both.
Really?
It's both.
Ooh,
Remember we talked about limiting beliefs earlier. It's all about your limiting beliefs. So what I do is when I do my courses with my clients, I usually do a 90-day course. We don't even talk about dating. I don't have them dating. I don't have them for 3 months. It's the last session that we'll do where I have them, we'll pull up their profiles because I play with them. I won't even have them change their profiles yet. I toy with this one. I love it. I won't have them change their profiles or their profile pictures. For the last 2 weeks, what I'll do is I'll have them go back on the dating apps if they have them. And if they don't, we'll still do it. And I have them start applying the knowledge and integrating what we've done. We've been integrating the whole time, but now integrating it in the app. And I practicing it. And then what we find is that their picker has changed because internally they have. You're no longer going to get the bots. You're no longer going to get the gold diggers, unless you want one. I do have clients that they do like certain dynamics. You're allowed to like what you like. There's nothing wrong with if you want an open relationship, or if you want what, as long as it's safe, sane, consensual, and all parties involved are, under the same umbrella, great, So what we find is that it's your limiting beliefs. So it doesn't matter whether it's online. I just like them doing online because it's practice, or if it's in person. It's your limiting beliefs will be what dictates and determines whether or not you're getting with quality or another lesson that gets you eventually to quality. Your belief systems. It's going to be on what you swipe. If you're hungry, horny, angry, lonely, or tired, I called it halt because it's halt. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. But for my client and for my females too, I'm like, halt. I'm going to need you, halt.
You gotta break it down. I'm sorry, excuse you, what? Bless you.
Yeah, I'm like, because but it's if you are feeling some type of way, angry, upset, lonely, screw my ex, it's all his fault. If you go on a dating app with that mentality, I'm sorry, but the only thing that you're going to get is that which you don't want, because that's what you're vibrating at. You can only get what you vibrate at because it's for your greatest good. It's going to pull out your anger to heal it. So you'll get with other people who are angry. You'll get with other people who have unhealed, anger inside of them, It's just what we do. It's called a self-fulfilling prophecy or confirmation bias and self-fulfilling prophecy. But you can change it. It takes 25 minutes. You just pause, process, let it pass, and then proceed. But yeah.
So Erin, tell us, we want to hear how you met Tony.
Okay, well, all right. I know. Well, we met online, and again, I worked in the fashion industry. Lisa's heard this story, but worked in the fashion industry. You don't date a lot of men in the fashion industry, right? Like they're anyway.
Right. I live in LA.
You're right. I speak your language. Yes. I worked for Ford Models for 20 years. So, so my friends, actually, I hosted a party at my house every month. And again, I was getting close to my 30s. And so they were all like going down that path, and I was so happy for them. It didn't bother me. Well, long story short, that night they had an idea that they wanted me to go online and try online dating. And I was like, dare you all, But by the end of the night and many glasses of wine later, I said, I'll try it, and I'll try it for 1 month. And I'm just going to be as open and as honest. This is me, this is who you get, kind of a thing. So I met my amazing husband, and he has 4 sisters, Chicago as well. They kind of did the same thing to him as me. And he said, I'll do it for a month as well. So, God is good. We both happen to be on at the same time.
Wow.
But what I love to share with, friends, and I have 2 teenage daughters. So what I love to share with them is when you go online dating, you get to pick what you want, so like the checklist for me was, I wanted him to be 6'5". I'm not a small drink of water. I'm not as tall as Lisa, but I also worked in the fashion industry. So I was used to wearing 3, 4, 5-inch heels every day.
Right.
So I wanted somebody who was 6'5", Caucasian, never been married, no kids, and lived in downtown Chicago, people, not Illinois, not Chicago, again, I didn't know, but boop, 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 boop. So those are my 5 things. I married 6 foot, Puerto Rican, had been married before, with a child, and he didn't live in the state of Illinois, people. Literally.
Oh, I didn't know it was going to go that way.
Yeah.
I thought
yeah. All 5. Mm-mm. And he is the best thing that ever happened to me. I mean, he is the better to my half.
Yeah.
So that Lisa knows. So I love telling people that because, we think we want all of these things, kind of like you said, limiting beliefs. He's got to be this, he's got to be that, he's got to be, but there was another plan for me. So, they always say, make the plans and God will laugh at you, but yeah, so, here we are. I'm still waiting for Match.com to call me.
And be the success story. Put them up on the, I love that. I've tried to tell so many of my clients, I was like, it doesn't matter where you are, grocery store, online, it doesn't matter. It applies everywhere. Yeah. But also I do that too. In the beginning, I have them write down their ideals list. Mm-hmm. But as they're saying it, I can tell which ones, just based on how they say it too. I've been doing it for so long too, I could just tell. Mm-hmm. But also I've got the training. But there's certain things that someone will say on their ideals list that is actually from a trauma or from a pain point, women included. Oftentimes with women, I've noticed that when we have, I need above 6 foot, when you dig into the reason why, it's because I just need to feel safe and I don't feel safe in the world. Yeah. So really what we need is we need someone who is emotionally safe. Because when we don't heal, we typically get with someone who's physically unsafe because we think they're going to hit someone else for us. And we wind up with someone who's just massively emotionally immature and triggered. Mm-hmm. So once we do the healing, of course you're going to get someone with the height that you're about looking for. But oftentimes we notice that it really wasn't the height, it was the safety.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. And hearing you say that, I'm thinking realistically why I put that is because I've always been taller than everyone else. And, Lisa and I've always talked, in all of my pictures growing up, I was kind of like this standing next to, so, I think it was, if hearing you say that, cause you're good at what you do, it was probably more of an emotional, like, I just need somebody to take care of me, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to feel like someone I can stand tall with and feel like relaxed with. Absolutely. Once you find out the why, but yeah, we get that a lot, and then I love playing with this.
Yeah. So I
met my husband the old-fashioned way in an 18 bar in Kansas. I was 17, and I was on a fake ID to get in that door. And he was 6'7", and I'm like, I'm gonna marry that man.
That one,
yeah.
That guy right there.
That one.
And
oh my goodness! Wow.
Natalie had no idea what she was getting into today.
Oh, this is great. So I'm probably going to get in trouble with my parents on this one. But actually, my mom did the same thing. She decided she wanted to get married and have kids one day. Goes to the grocery store, sees my dad, points, and is like, that one. My dad is actually shorter than her.
Oh.
My dad is an Italian, you know, like, I think he's like 5'6", but like, and my mom's was 5'10".
Oh.
She shot up, though. I was told that she shot up after my brother. She actually grew a couple more inches, but... which was wild.
Yeah.
But
don't tell me.
I have their.
Yeah.
No, yeah, right. But I have my. I have their wedding photo, and like my dad's just like cocky, confident, walking down, and my mom's taller than him in those heels in that wedding dress, and I'm like, yeah.
I think that shows her confidence.
Oh yeah.
I really did look for a tall guy or tall guys to date.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the confidence in myself to be taller than the man. And
right,
you know, and I know that about myself. I wanted to feel feminine, you know, because I'm 6 feet tall, and so I was looking for that, and I sure found it.
Yeah, I love it. I'm 5'2", so anything taller than me is tall. So I'm fine.
I think you'll be okay finding a man that's taller.
Yeah, I'll be fine. You get to wear the really tall, great shoes. Which, that's
super jelly.
I used to do the same thing, though. I was like, I want a guy that's 6'1", and then mind you, that's nearly a foot taller than me. Yeah. And what I noticed is that something that's actually really important to me is I love going out and dancing, and I want someone like a partner that I can like do salsa with or tango or whatever. I don't know, but leave the option open. And when I have someone that's a foot taller than me, I can't. It's a little clunky.
Yeah, awkward. You're in an awkward spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I did. Yeah, I realized I was like, that's not my thing.
So if people are sorry,
no, keep going.
If people are they're dating and they don't see that they're in, let's say, a toxic relationship, how do you help them identify that? I mean, because I feel like that's probably pretty common, that they're just holding on to that person because they just think, oh, this is my only person I'm ever going to have, and they're worried that if they don't stick with them, that they won't ever find somebody else, but that actually it's a toxic, bad situation for them.
I mean, the way that you start is they don't feel right. They feel like something's wrong. And we just go from there. Mm-hmm. Because at the same time, I can't sit here and say that the toxicity isn't coming from them. Yeah. You know, I've actually had a couple clients that were diagnosed narcissistic personality disorder, and they needed my help in order to have a healthy relationship, because it is possible. However, someone that's on that scale and deeply on that scale, it does take a lot of years and a lot of work. So please, anyone out there, that doesn't mean, yay, I can stay with my person. They're beating me, but one day, no. You let them go and you let them heal, and you have boundaries. But it starts with, I don't feel right, or something's not right. I'm not happy. And we start from there. And when we do the inner work, like for my clients who might be in a toxic relationship, like I had a client 2 days ago who's not sure if he's in a toxic relationship because, you know, he also is like, you know, working a lot or might neglect some of her needs or something. So the way to do it isn't just by sitting there and going like, well, you know what, I showed up, I tried, like, peace out, because he's not sure. And instead what we do is we do double down on the work on showing up for yourself. Doing any healing work, seeing what limiting beliefs are coming up, and then we do the hypnosis. I teach my clients to do it on themselves too, but they do basically like an inner child hypnosis where you can get to the root of like, do you feel like you're not good enough? Do you feel like it's always your fault? Do you think it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back? Do you think that any time that something bad happens, it's your fault? That, we start there. Once we start working on those limiting beliefs and we start working on your resentments and your pain, and you start meeting your needs. The key to it is this: when you start meeting your emotional needs first, like if you're feeling like I'm not getting enough love here, I'm not getting enough attention, or I'm not getting heard, or I'm not having enough activities, you start by writing it all down and every day pick a few things on that list and give it to yourself first. Emotionally regulate your nervous system, and then meet those needs first. Because then when you're with your partner, you're going to know whether or not they are actually the right one for you, or if they are not someone that is capable of meeting your needs, because you're so full of the good stuff that you've already given yourself where you're vibrating differently. If you're only feeding yourself negative stuff, if you're speaking to yourself negatively, if you're treating yourself like crap, if you're not showing up for yourself, if you're not looking at like, do you enjoy your life? Do you enjoy your hobbies? Are you around friendships that are uplifting and empowering? If you are constantly kind of putting yourself down, it's very difficult to find out if the person that you're with is good for you or not, because typically we'll be around other people that are putting us down, and anyone who's giving us nice things we'll reject. So step one is always meet your needs first, because then when you're full of like good stuff, you'll be able to identify it so much faster.
You know what? I feel like that is amazing advice for married people as well. I mean,
I do too.
Yes,
I mean, obviously we have the bond of marriage, but that to me is something that can happen in a marriage.
Yeah, because I prepare my clients for long-term relationships, whether that's in business, career, or marriage. And it works the same way. You still want to date your partner. You're going to grow. How many times have you changed over the last 3 decades?
A lot.
Many.
Right? We're not the same person. No. I'm not the same person as I was last year.
Thank goodness.
How we do it though, right? Oh my God. Yeah. How we do it though is, if I'm feeling off with my partner, he said something, he did something, I didn't like it, he didn't take out the trash. What I do is, if I come to my partner and I'm not regulated, he's not going to hear me, because if I'm an amygdala, if I'm guarded, if I'm angry, he's going to feel that energy. And by accident, what happens is the first thing that goes when we're in an argument is our hearing. So I can't hear you because we're not in solution. I'm not in solution. I'm not regulated. So the boundary is like, hey, we don't speak to each other like this, or like hit below the belt, or try and fight with each other. Like, we're a team. So we're going to go and regulate. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to, lower my cortisol. I'm going to journal about this and see what's going on. Because oftentimes when I think it's the trash, it's not. It's not. It's usually like, hey, I actually had a really bad day at work. My coworker is trying to undermine me, and I'm feeling like I don't have support, and I just projected it here.
That's so good.
And your subconscious will always know when you regulate and then you journal. I teach my clients not to need me. That way they're not dependent on any therapist or any coach. That way they don't get gaslit or manipulated by people who are not good for them. So
all of this is so good. I think some of it comes with like maturity, but I also think that like having somebody like you in their lives and in our lives, because I don't think like this isn't something I would have thought to do in my younger days. But I feel like if people only started earlier to have this mindset, to
the tools.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like our divorce rate would go down,
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, it really would,
But we didn't have this when we were growing up.
No.
We didn't even have social media.
No, thank God. But thank God.
It came out when I was in college, and I had to delete all of those photos. Every single one of those photos.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have 2 teenage girls. I'm like, oh Lord Jesus, help me with this.
I can't. Yeah.
How much of this, I'm just curious, relates to, in this case, a woman, their relationship with their father?
Oh, all of it. Their mother and father.
Both.
Because let's say that you had a great mom, but your dad was absent. Underneath, you might actually be resentful at your mom for not protecting you, right? And you could be carrying that and then punishing women or punishing men. Because don't forget too, women can have bad relationships with other women. We shame other women. We brutalize. I mean, look at America today. We go against each other's rights. And then some people they get confused because they don't know how to, necessarily treat a woman, when there's a lot of women who treat each other pretty badly. So it's both.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. But of course, if you have one parent that's more toxic, it's easier to point out and be like, that one right there. Oh yeah, he screamed at me for 20 years. I think it's that one. So,
yeah,
both.
Both for sure. Okay, let's take this down a different route really quickly. What are your like, I don't even know what they are, but like, do you tell someone, okay, we've gone through the mindset, you've gotten them ready, they're going out on dates, all that kind of stuff. What is the rule for when you can like kiss somebody?
Or sleep with them.
Or sleep with
First
them.
date.
First date.
Oh, whenever you want to. You can sleep with them on that first night.
This just shows how old we are, Lisa.
Well, to be fair, we would all get in America, depending on where you're from and your parents or whatever or culture, you would get different information because don't forget, America is a puritanical society still. We still have the like, it's your fault if something happens to you, close your legs, you wore that skirt. We're still dealing with a lot of, every country and culture has its own limiting beliefs. So each gender, each nationality, each ethnicity all has different limiting beliefs that are also stuck on them. And then on top of it, when you're entered in and you're, in this world, you'll get generational trauma as well. So each country and culture, depending, will have different limiting beliefs that we then have to kind of break out of. For women, we're taught if you're not married with children by the age of 30, there's something wrong with you. If you want to be a boss, then you're a B word. If you want to be a mom, then you're lying to yourself. If you want to have a career and kids, then you're going to abandon your children or something, which studies show that's not even. So women are taught to be in competition with each other. Men are taught that if you have emotions, you're a P word, that you're only allowed anger, horniness, and hunger. That's it. Good luck. And we wonder why the world's doing what it's doing right now. We dehumanize men and we dehumanize women. And we're learning how to see each other more clearly. So in certain cultures and countries, they're not offended or freak out if a woman is topless at the beach, for instance. They don't blame a woman if they can't control their hormones. Oftentimes in certain cultures, or even in America too, will shame a woman and blame a woman because I don't know how to emotionally regulate or deal with the fact that I'm attracted to someone. I'll blame her. So it really, I have people that I've coached and I have people around me that they slept together on the first date and they're married, 25 years. It does not, none of that matters. What matters is respect, mutuality, and where you guys are at, what your core values are and where you're going in life.
Okay, this leads us perfectly. We have not gotten to so many things that we wanted to talk to you about, but this tees us up. Tell everybody about your amazing book that you wrote.
Yes. I wrote a book called How to Get the Girl, in learning the secrets to getting and keeping quality women. I have that. I actually have another book that I'm working on now coming out.
Good. What's that?
And that one is, I'm working on the title still, but it's Partnerships and Politicians. Your picker is broken and how to fix it.
Oh, I love that.
So what we see is in relationships and in dating, whatever that pulls out of you, limiting beliefs, childhood trauma, and insecurities. Now, those same things will be the same things that you're facing in career, politics, friendships, and family members as well too. So when you fix one, oftentimes you also notice that like all the other areas of your life also do better and increase. So I'm on a mission to help people just reprogram their brain and to get back to themselves, not to listen to me, not to believe what I believe, but to actually listen to like what your core values are, what your boundaries are, what your truth is, because what's happening right now is oftentimes the things that trigger us will be what we keep getting around. And this is the reason why people will pick what's not best for them, whether that's partnerships or politicians. So my How to Get the Girl is, it's a great one too, because I'm a Trojan horse. I'm telling you, you're going to get like a quality woman, but inside I'm teaching you how to fall in love with yourself. And the byproduct of that is, and also your boundaries. Like you deserve to not lower your standards. You just deserve to actually learn the difference between your standards and your trauma. And as a result, I have men that have never even like dated before in their 30s that like, they go out now and women approach them. Women do approach men. We do that. We're not robots. We're not standing in a corner waiting for someone to pick us. But yeah, I teach them how to move in the world and with what they want. And then what happens is they'll meet the right people that do the same.
That's awesome. I feel like, do you coach all different ages? Because I'm just thinking, everyone that I know that's been married forever, when that changes, if they lose their loved one, if someone passes away, I don't want to, and I love my husband in
Of
my
course.
life, but
Yeah.
I've often said I would be the worst person, because I'm not the girl now that'll go to a bar to meet someone.
I mean, same. Yeah.
I don't know
even
what I would
recommend
do.
it.
I don't know where and Steve's like, oh, there'd be a line out the door. I'm like, I don't think so.
You'd have to look out the door to begin with. You'd have to get your butt out the door after.
But he, on the other hand, hopefully I go first. He would have. He goes and meets. He talks to everybody everywhere we go. And is so friendly and outgoing. And I mean, I'm an introvert, extrovert type of girl. Anyway, do you coach all different ages? Because I'm sure there's that too. People that have been married maybe for a long time, and then they go back into the dating world and they're like, how do I do this?
Oh yeah, I do it all ages. I've coached from 18 to 84. Was one of my oldest, and then there was one where he was like 16, but his mom had to sign off, and I was like, oh, I don't know about. But he really wanted to learn human behavior and
sweetness.
dating. Oh, it was so sweet. He was amazing. Oh, it was so great. So the thing is that I actually do not believe in the pickup artist technique. I have a lot of clients that have gone through the pickup artist stuff, and I have to undo that. It's manipulation tactics. Look, if you're someone that like loves partying in clubs and whatever, then absolutely. But what I teach my clients and what we do, which is why dating is irrelevant. I don't need you dating while I'm teaching you how to date. I need to teach you. We need to find out you. So what we do is we actually find out what makes your heart spark. What brings you stupid, silly joy like no one's business. And the thing is that when you're doing that, and when you're actually giving back to yourself, and you know your core values and your boundaries, what happens is you don't have to worry about approaching anyone. You will naturally go out somewhere doing what you love to do, and you will meet the same people doing it. I might have you do like a meetup group to do a co-ed style instead of like, only ladies night or only boys night or something. But it's when you're doing the things that you're aligned with and you love what you're doing. That's right there.
Makes perfect sense. I wish that we had you years ago, because my mom is on her 5th marriage, and he is an angel in her world. But we used to always say, Mom, your picker's broken. And she's like, I know.
But we don't yet. I gotta say, that drives people probably the most crazy, myself included for a long time, knowing better. I have degrees in this. I knew better. And I dated malignant narcissists. And I do not say that lightly. I do not throw that word around. I mean, psychopaths, sociopaths, like to the point where people are needing to protect me. And I'm like, la, 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 la. And I knew better, but I couldn't seem to do better because their awareness, self-knowledge avails us nothing. Self-knowledge doesn't do anything. You want to integrate and apply the knowledge. That's wisdom. Otherwise, you're going to watch yourself do the same thing over and over and over again. And be like, what is this?
Yeah.
Our subconscious rules our behaviors. Our subconscious is way more powerful than our conscious waking mind. So the trick is to actually go back into the subconscious and rewire the trauma and the generational trauma or the pain or the programming that keeps you going down a certain neural pathway.
So good. Good stuff, Natalie. I mean, really, where can our audience find you and follow you? Tell us about that.
I am at Natalie Stavola across all platforms. You'll mostly engage with me on Instagram. I do have 2 Instagrams. My personal one, I have everything on there: the dating, the author, the books, the producing, acting, all of that. And also, I am extremely big on humanitarianism. So if you come to my page, just know it's going to be a lot of politics, a lot of world affairs. I am uniquely qualified to speak on the psychology. So what I do is the micro is relationships, interpersonal relationships, ours and others. That's the micro. And on the macro level is world affairs. So I'm basically a behavioral expert. So I speak a lot to why, the world is doing what it's doing and what it does. Like certain world leaders, what they're doing, the dark psychology or the manipulation tactics or the, and you'll see it. You can apply it to your own life too, but just so everyone's prepared.
Yeah.
I love world affairs.
Oh, that's so interesting. I'm gonna enjoy following you. So
same. Well, we just want to thank you. I mean, I know Lisa feels the same. This has been so much fun. And guess what? It was meant to be on a Friday because I feel like this has been the best way to cap our week. And you just are not only good at what you do, but you are just multi-talented. We didn't even get to the whole like acting and producing and everything. So we're going to have you back and we'll kind of see what trends and what everything has happened in some time here. We get to hear about your new projects that are coming down the pipeline too.
I've got some really, really fun ones. Yeah, you guys will love. Yeah. Definitely looking forward to coming back.
Oh my gosh. That's the thing too. We can add anything to the show notes, at least where they can find you and watch your movies and things like that. And then I think we should do this again for sure. Very soon. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Next time we'll have wine or something, or like a little cup, a pot of tea, something.
Yes.
Well, Natalie, we just have loved having you on the I Decide Darlings podcast. And we hope that every person, man and woman, no matter what age, are sharing this out, taking some notes and listening to the good old Natalie Stavola, because the nuggets that you dropped today can literally change. I'm happy to say both of us are happily married, but I think this applies too to married couples as well. So,
I agree.
Absolutely.
Natalie, thanks for joining us on the I Decide Darlings podcast, everybody, and we will see you all soon.
Thank you, guys.
See you soon.
You've been listening to the I Decide Darlings podcast. If this podcast touched your heart, please share it with your friends and family right after you subscribe yourself.
Don't forget to head over to iDecideBook.com and grab a copy of our favorite book and daily journal. As always, thank you for being here, and we can't wait for you to hear our next episode.